just looks so impressive, that view to me, you know? I never lived near a harbor or anything.
Forrest, what do you make of you know, all this hype around Conor McGregor? Obviously, it's his hometown and all that, but what do you make of all this with a guy with only 2 UFC fights? Is it a good thing for him? A bad thing for him? What do you think?
Well, all right. So, and this is very true, and this is just my personal opinion. I think we all saw a piece of it yesterday at the open workout. He likes pressure. He thrives under it. He always wanted the crowd to participate. He wanted people to get into it. He enjoys that. You know, a guy doesn't put himself up there to be shot down if he doesn't have some confidence in his abilities. Obviously, you know, his practices, his trainings are going good, you know, just judging from the way he talks. And not to draw too many comparisons, but I remember meeting John Jones, you know, a bit before he was, you know, a big deal. And I really liked him. I thought he was a great, you know, kid. And I remember thinking that Muhammad Ali quote, "You have to believe you're the best in the world." Or I believed I was the best in the world before I ever was. And that was what I thought of when I met him. And I feel like, you know, obviously Conor's a lot more bravado and, you know, provocateur, but, you know, to some extent, I think, you know, this guy believes in himself. That's great, you know. I've never been that confident in anything, ever.
You think there's danger in it too? I mean, can you imagine what happens if he goes in there and gets clipped in the first round?
You know, I almost think, like, if he does lose, I mean, this is going to shatter his ego. I'm a little worried, you know, about his, no, I'm serious, his future as a fight after he does lose. And he's going to lose sooner or later. That's gotten to be a very competitive division. You know, you see Tub over there, you see Poirier, you see Mendez, you see Aldo. There's 4, 5, 6 good guys in that division that aren't, you know, aren't to be messed with. So,
break down the fight for us. Do you think Brandao is a tougher opponent for McGregor than original opponent Paul Miller?
Paul Miller, I actually do think he's probably a tougher opponent because he's, you know, Cole has the length and the tricky jiu-jitsu, and is a good friend of mine, which always helps. But Diego's got power, explosiveness, and, you know, the ability, he's got that one-punch threat, you know, that explosive, you know, 3 or 4 punch burst that can, you know, possibly, and I haven't seen but 3 of Conor's fights, so I've never seen him take a shot in the chin. I talked to some people, they say he doesn't get hit much in practice, you know. He's good, he doesn't, you know, he doesn't take shots in practice. So, you know, when he does take that first shot on the chin and a little glove, and maybe he already has, maybe he did it in, you know, Cage Warriors, or what is it, Cage? Yeah. Cage Rage is gone? That died?
No.
Oh. Cage Warriors.
Cage Warriors. No, that's still about.
Yeah, no, Cage Rage though.
Oh, Cage Rage.
Yeah. That's what.
McGregor never fought in Cage.
Oh, is that right?
He fought in Cage Warriors.
He fought in Cage Warriors, never fought in Cage Rage.
Okay, there we go. Now that we squared that away. So he may have had, you know, he may have been clipped there, but I didn't see it. And I'm always interested to see the first time somebody gets clipped with a, you know, solid punch. You know, Diego's got good hand, obviously good jiu-jitsu, so, you know, we'll see. I don't know if, you know, I don't know. It's a tough fight for Diego too, though. You know, I don't know, do you really want to rush in on him? Do you want to try and take him to the ground? You know, on the ground, I don't think he's going to get submitted or even outstruck on the ground. You know, Diego's a high-level black belt. He's got a good camp. He didn't have a ton of time to prepare for this, though, right? He only had a month, is what I was reading in the papers that one of you guys probably wrote. So, it's got to be true.
Were you here the last time the UFC was it 5 years ago? Did you come from
No, I wasn't. 2009?
Okay.
No.
So this is going to be your first UFC event in Ireland?
This is...
Apart from what you fought at.
Other than the one in Belfast. Yeah. It's the first time I've ever been at the airport in Dublin. I love Dublin as a city. I love the atmosphere. I wasn't at the one in 2009, but I can tell you the one in 2007 was phenomenal. And what was that? Shit, what was it called?
The Odyssey Arena?
The Odyssey, yes. God, it was nice, you know. It was, I think, 8,000 or 9,000 people. It sounded like, I don't know, 30, you know. It was, you know, it was like a bowl. People were on top of you. It was pretty crazy.
As far as from experience, what are these fighters going through right now in terms of weight cutting and 4 or 5 hours away from the weigh-ins?
I'm putting up with you jackasses. And then, you know, for me it was always really tough. You know, your attitudes change, your you're a little hyper aggressive, you're irritated, you're agitated, you've been taken out of your surrounding. It's weird. The fight game is very stupid in a sense in that you control everything you can, your diet, your training, your schedule, your routine, and you keep a very monastic lifestyle. And then the last week you just shake it up and do whatever and eat, and eat the best you can, and work out whenever, wherever. Your whole routine changes, and these people tell you have to do this PR, otherwise you're just gonna have to fight for free if nobody comes to see you. So it's a funny, it's a funny thing, changing. And I always hated change, so maybe that was harder for me.
That's funny. I know that you're comfortable with the fact that you're retired and walked away, but when it's fight week, I mean, when it's go time on Saturday night, do you start getting that itch?
Saturday night maybe, but all week no. Because I've been going out and drinking good beer, eating good food, watching these guys, and I'll see them in the gym running on a treadmill, trying to lose that last however many pounds, not seeing the sights. I remember walking around Belfast and being afraid to burn my legs out. I wanted to see more, but I didn't want to walk around too much, And they've got this media obligation, that media obligation, I definitely don't miss it on fight week. Fight week was the worst, As, any of you that were around me when I was fighting, no, I was a complete asshole. But there was good reason behind that. You notice less asshole now. No weight cut, no stress, no media. Nobody's gonna try and beat me up in front of my mom Saturday. These guys, have a, they have a lot going on. They have a lot on their plate. So don't judge them harshly based on this week alone. Remember, this is very surreal to them too. A guy only does this 20, 30, 40 times in his life.
What was your reaction to Ali Bagautinov testing positive for EPO just a few weeks after Sonnen did too?
I don't really know that much about it. I mean, I guess it'd be awesome at riding bicycles. They can go ride bicycles now, I don't know. He's got a year off to work on his bike riding skills, maybe enter some competitions, I don't know.
Do you think the punishment fits the crime? Is a year enough, or should it be more severe?
The year is good,
yeah.
But it has to be strong. Everything has to be strong at this point. I get a lot of pushback about drugs in sport, especially over here. I think, I don't know about Ireland specifically, but in Sweden, I was rolling with a bunch of people and oh yeah, you Americans, you all do drugs. I'm like, no, we don't all do drugs. This is crazy, What I would tell you, the absolute truth is, obviously, the guys that you think are doing drugs and the ladies that you think are doing drugs fail drug tests. It's working, the system works to an extent, So I think it's actually a pretty good system in place, and you have to make the penalties harsh to, so people won't want to do it.
Okay. Switching it up a little bit, Ronda Rousey, breaking news this week, she just won an ESPY award for Best Female Athlete. Pretty groundbreaking for an MMA fight.
It was great timing of that fight right before the awards, yeah. It was impressive. I mean, she's really, the amount she's done for women's MMA is amazing, She is the face of women's MMA in no small way.
Big main event next week. I want to get your thoughts on it. Matt Brown, Robbie Lawler. A lot of people are looking forward to that one. How do you see that one playing out?
Man, I remember why I don't do this, because these guys are my friends. I know these guys. I've trained with Matt on and off for years, and I can tell you that the last time I trained with Matt, he got the better of me, and that's never happened before. And I was like, am I really getting beat up by a 70-pounder right now? Is this really happening? Am I really, I have a thing I do when I'm getting beat up, where I just grab a single and push to the fence and stay there with my head in your chest. And that's what I did to him for as long as I could. And I was like, wow, I'm really getting, the amount he's improved so late in his career has really impressed me, If you look at some of the losses he had early on, getting guillotined, getting footlocked, he's really, I think he's one of those stories that other fighters can look at and say, this is how you turn your career around. This is how you really, and he's gotten better. I've seen him get better in the gym dramatically. So he's legit.
Is one of the keys to it that he's upped his aggression? Because I remember back when you were coaching him on Tough, one of the things you were complaining about was he wasn't getting in there enough.
He was always aggressive. That particular plan, that particular fight you speak of, when he eventually did knock the kid out, he had a plan to let the kid burn himself out, and then retaliate that he did not feel the need to share with me or the Thai coach. And then after he's like, oh yeah, I was like, well, I didn't know what the hell you're doing. I was like, because you spar like an animal. You know, your first fight, you look like an animal. You're you know, the animal. What the hell? Where's that animal now? You know, so no. If anything, he hasn't upped his aggression. He's upped his skill to. I think you're wrong about the aggression, is what I'm saying. Okay. You're absolutely wrong. He's always been aggressive. Now he's skillfully aggressive. Okay. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, absolutely.
Is it true?
I think so. Do you think he'll beat Lawler?
I don't know. You know, what's the expiration life on Robbie Lawler? That fight, I don't want to call that because, man, I remember watching Robbie Lawler on UFC 37.5. You remember that? And I remember thinking, that dude, and I had a friend I trained with at the time who got a gladiator tattoo on his stomach. I was like, whoa. Just like, to be like Robbie Lawler, you know? And so, you know, you can't root against a guy like that, and you can't root against a guy like Matt Brown. So those fights are kind of rough, you know? But then again, you know, I really like Cerrone and, what's his name? He just knocked out Jim Miller. He's a great guy, you know? So. It's tough. It's tough when I'd almost rather not know these people to watch fighting, to be honest, you know? Because a lot of these guys, like I said, are very nice people, you know? So that's a tough one to call. And I don't really know. But I mean, I always bet money on the guy that comes out second.
Why is that?
Because that's the favorite.
But it's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Forrest.
Thanks for